So the basic history of sake. Following that, we have how to make sake. Again, we have broken this down into the two major processes. There are many steps in between, but basically the rice is fermented twice to make the alcohol. In the first stage, it is fermented to change the starch into glucose. And then in the second stage, the glucose is then changed into alcohol. And the final stage we have here is the actual pressing of the sake so that you can get the pure liquid of the sake out. And then you have your standard sake. An important point here is the upselling. The base taste of many breweries is the koji, which is a fermenting agent that changes the starch in the rice into glucose. The koji and the water give the base taste of each brewery, and it is what makes every brewery's flavour unique. So it's quite cool if you recommend to your customers, if they like sake from one brewery, then recommend another sake from the same brewery, because although the flavour of the sake will be very different, the base taste will be the same. So in theory, they should like it. Here we have types of sake. This is quite important. You have premium going from south to north. And your Junmai Daiginjo and your Daiginjo is the premium, the best sake you can buy. Under that, the second rank is your Junmai Ginjo and your Ginjo. And then going down, we have your Tokubetsu Junmai, your Tokubetsu Honjozo, and then your normal Junmai and normal Honjozo. With all your Junmais, your Junmai Daiginjo and your Junmai Ginjo, no other alcohol is added. If you don't have the Junmai, so a Daiginjo, a Ginjo, Tokubetsu, Honjozo, your Honjozo, then alcohol has been added to the sake. The rice used in sake is a special kind of rice. It's not normal rice, because normal rice contains too much protein and you can't make it into good sake. Okay, so you also have special sake. Now this special sake generally is limited edition sake. It is produced in very low volumes and is very sought after. In the pressing process, as mentioned in making sake, the sake can be pressed by machine or by what is called shizuku. This is a natural method. The sake is put into a mesh bag and is covered with very light weights, and the sake slowly drips into the bottle. This is a very time-consuming method and is regarded as one of the most premium sakes. One other point to note is the SMV of sake. This is the sake meter value. This basically is how sweet or how dry a sake is. So 0 means it is neither sweet nor dry. If you're going minus, the bigger the minus number, the sweeter the sake. The plus numbers, the bigger the plus number, the drier the sake. You generally find most sake is between 0 and +3, +4. Again, for cross-selling and upselling, we suggest that you recommend sake of similar SMV, because if somebody likes a slightly dry sake of one type, then they will probably like a slightly dry sake of another type. When we give you the sake pairing menu, we will include the SMV with the menu pairing. Tasting. So the tasting of sake is very similar to the tasting of wine. It is a slower process, but the steps are very much the same. So first of all, have a look at the sake. Have a look at the colour, the clarity and the viscosity. You will find with fresh sake that it is very clear. With older sake, it starts to become more coloured. So when you have, for example, aged sake or koshu, you will find it is very brown and orange in colour. Second step, have a smell. Smell the aroma directly given off by the sake and think of what flavours it makes you think of. Then take a small sip of the sake and swill it around in the mouth. Breathe through the sake to be able to evaluate the full flavour. After that, evaluate the smell from the back of the throat that goes up through the nose. Then slowly taste the sake and swallow the sake. After that, sip some more sake, swallow the sake, and then think about the aftertaste. Think about the strength of the aftertaste compared to the normal flavours before you swallow. And think about the flavour of the aftertaste. Because with sake, you will find the umami in sake is a lot stronger, a lot more prevalent in the aftertaste than in the normal taste. Okay, so basic etiquette and storage. With customers sharing sake, you pour from the bottle with the label up. We will go into this more with the service video that Yuki will show you. Sharing is important in Japanese sake. You will always fill up your friends' or your colleagues' cups before it is empty. Generally, when it is only 1/3 empty, you will top up other people's cups around the table. Before drinking the sake, you clink your cups and you say kanpai, which basically means cheers in English. More for the business side, storing sake. Now, sake can be stored for up to 1 year. Longer is possible, and the flavour will change, but the sake will not go bad. Sake is best stored in cold area, preferably, so in refrigerator, and not in direct sunlight. After opening the sake, drink within 2 weeks and keep refrigerated. However, using an air vacuum pump, exactly the same as you use for wine, you can extend this period of 2 weeks to 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks. Okay, so these are your basic notes